Coming up this week, there's news of the quick actions of a heroic crew member on Royal Caribbean that probably saved guests from serious injury or worse. There are a number of altered itineraries on upcoming cruises due to engine problems. There is also a pretty major change to a whole season of cruises on Virgin Voyages in 2026. And there's also news of a new addition to the Alaska cruising season this week. It's June 15th, 2025, and welcome to this week's Cruise News Roundup from the Solo Muster Drill. So first up, Royal Caribbean guests on board Symphony of the Seas, which was on a 7-day sailing from New York to Florida and Bermuda, had a really lucky escape from potential serious injury or worse, all thanks to the quick-thinking action of a crew member. Nitin Kumar was at work as a waiter in the Coastal Kitchen, that's the restaurant for suite guests, and he noticed a crack beginning to form in a window. Now, the Coastal Kitchen is located over the pool deck, and he immediately raced down to that deck, and with just seconds to spare, he successfully managed to remove guests from their sun loungers beneath the breaking glass. Reports indicate that as the window was made of tempered glass, it shattered into small pebble-like pieces rather than large shards of glass. But nonetheless, had he not acted, it's impossible to say what might have happened. Thankfully, there were no injuries, and the crew member is undoubtedly to be applauded for his quick thinking. Royal Caribbean have recognised this, and the crew member has been awarded their Hero of the Sea award. Very well deserved. Sticking with Royal Caribbean and news from one of their older ships, the Serenade of the Seas. Guests have been wondering, is there a problem with the ship that hasn't been disclosed? The ship is currently operating a 7-day round-trip Alaskan itinerary from Vancouver, Canada, and on the sailing this past week, guests were advised that the final sea day, which is typically a day of scenic cruising in the Inside Passage, as the ship heads back towards Vancouver. That won't be occurring, and instead it will take a shorter route in the open waters of the Pacific Ocean. No explanation was provided other than it being in order to ensure a timely arrival in Vancouver. Whatever the problem or reason, the same situation will again play out on a similar itinerary later this month. Guests on the June 22nd sailing have already been sent a communication stating the following. As we plan our upcoming Alaskan adventure, we want to inform you about an update to our itinerary to prevent any potential delays and ensure a timely arrival to Vancouver, British Columbia. We'll sail directly to Vancouver instead of having a second scenic cruising day. Now, there is speculation that there may be engine or propulsion issues, resulting in the need for more time to get back to port. Fortunately, the remainder of the itinerary remains intact, and scheduled calls in Juneau, Skagway and Ketchikan are all due to go ahead. Another line also notifying guests of itinerary changes is Virgin Voyages in relation to their Valiant Lady. Now, that's currently doing a 7-day sailing called the Maya Sol voyage. Guests have already been notified that their port of call for today, June 15th, has been altered from Costa Maya to Cozumel, Mexico. So guests will have extra time in Cozumel, and this is believed to be due to engine problems which require maintenance, with Cozumel having appropriate facilities to accommodate this. Various online forums seem to suggest that the majority of guests are actually quite happy with this particular itinerary change, as they consider that there's far more to do in Cozumel than in Costa Maya. Virgin Voyages have also been hitting the cruise news headlines this week for their announcement of the cancellation of several sailings in 2026 on the Valiant Lady. They were generally 14-night itineraries due to sail the British Isles and also a number of Baltic cruises. So all of those cruises have been cancelled, and instead the ship is being repositioned to do shorter cruises of 6 to 8 days in the Mediterranean, with various ports of call in Spain, France and Italy, and there will also be some overnights included. Booked guests have of course been given a full refund, and in addition they will also receive $100 onboard credit per cabin if they rebook sailings of a similar or shorter. Now, one of the overnight port experiences which Virgin are heavily promoting on their new itinerary is a port of call in Ibiza, and now that's well known as being a party island. Realistically, the decision to alter the itineraries in such a dramatic way is probably due to a desire to appeal to their general market, who would not typically be likely to sail British Isles or Baltic European cruises. So, for those gearing up for a party, they'll be entirely happy with an overnight in places such as Ibiza. Turning now to Alaska news, and there is a new addition to the cruise offering this season. Cunard's Queen Elizabeth arrived in Seattle on Thursday last June 12th for its first Alaska season. Queen Elizabeth will sail 7 and 11-day round-trip itineraries from Seattle and will visit the regular ports of an Alaskan cruise experience. So that will include Juneau, Ketchikan, Skagway, and it'll also make the obligatory call in a foreign port in Victoria, Canada. Cunard is also one of the limited number of cruise lines permitted to sail into Glacier Bay, so generally all of their itineraries will include a day of scenic cruising there. Guest boarding Queen Elizabeth will be able to enjoy the extensive refurbishments which were undertaken earlier this year during a 3-week dry dock. At the end of the Alaska season, Queen Elizabeth is due to undertake a 3-week repositioning cruise back to Miami via the Panama Canal. And finally, if Cunard isn't quite upmarket enough for you, maybe it's time to check out the latest offering from luxury cruise brand Regent Seven Seas. Their new ship, the Seven Seas Prestige, is due to undertake its inaugural sailing in December 2026. Details were released this week of some of the most luxurious offerings that will be on board, and topping the list is the 8,794 square feet Skyview Regent Suite. Yes, you heard me right, that is the size of it. This very special accommodation will have 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a living room, dining room, its own gym, sauna, and also a private elevator. It'll be spread over 2 levels and will also have an extensive wraparound balcony. The Seven Seas Prestige will have a capacity of just 850 guests and a very generous guest-to-crew ratio and also guest-to-space ratio in order to deliver on an ultra-premium service. The inaugural sailing will be a 14-day transatlantic from Barcelona to Miami in December 2026, and after that it will sail the Caribbean for a season. Reservations open for the new ship in a few weeks' time on June 25th, so mark that date in your calendar. And at the moment, as of June 11th, there is a facility on the Regent website to register your interest in advance. So for those aspiring to sail in that luxury suite, better get saving quickly. Prices are due to start at $25,000 per night. So that wraps up the cruise news for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this or found it useful, please consider hitting the like button. And if you'd like to stay up to date on more cruise news or to follow along on my various cruises, please consider subscribing. It really does mean quite a lot. Bye for now and enjoy your week.